Tonight on Cronkite News, we take a closer look at how lawmakers plan to lower prescription drug costs.
Plus, a breakdown on inflation in Arizona. We'll give you the latest on the rising numbers and their effect on small businesses.
And later on Break It Down, breaking through the glass ceiling could lead to more challenges for women of color in leadership roles. We'll examine the impact.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Raina Preciado.
And I'm Mitchell Zimmerman. Thank you for joining us. There are a number of bills before the U.S. Senate that could help lower the cost of some prescription drugs, including a bill that caps out-of-pocket insulin costs for patients with insurance at $35 a month. Cronkite News reporter Nick Shesky attended a hearing in Phoenix where lawmakers heard about the need to contain prescription drug costs.
Arizona families and seniors are facing choices that nobody should ever have to make.
The issue being tackled at this hearing, prescription drug costs are growing faster than people's incomes.
Insulin is a drug that is not optional if you're a type 1 diabetic. You need it to survive. And many people have to take it for decades, and they do. Yet Americans, we pay 10 times more than folks in many other countries.
And it's not just insulin. Medications needed for several illnesses have gone up in price. Judy Wilson, who has been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, shared how she had to give up her medication, Copaxone, because she couldn't afford its rising cost of over $7,000 per year.
After discussions with my doctor, I decided to go off my medications. I didn't have any other options and have so far been very lucky that I haven't had any relapses.
Dr. Sugana Karapana says that patients rationing out medication, cutting pills in half, or going off meds because they can no longer afford them is quite common.
I can't tell you the number of times I have heard my patients say, "Doc," or "Doctora, please look at all of my meds and tell me what can I skip. It costs me too much each month and I need to stop at least 2 or 3 of them."
The pharmaceutical companies maintain it is expensive to develop new medications, which is one reason for higher drug costs in the United States. But one thing Senator Kelly would like to see is an out-of-pocket cap for patients with Medicare Part D.
Capping the out-of-pocket expenses at $2,000 for Medicare Part D plans. I mean, we have to get this done.
In Phoenix, Nick Shesky, Cronkite News.
Another bill the Senate is considering would allow the federal government through Medicare to negotiate prices for the most expensive drugs. These include medications to treat cancer, blood clots, diabetes, and other chronic diseases.
At the end of March, Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill into law requiring proof of citizenship to vote in a presidential election. But some Arizona legislators are looking to push that law's start date farther into the future. The House voted yesterday to delay the law's effective date until after the 2022 election. Lawmakers are now seeking approval from the Senate and Governor Ducey to bring this to fruition. Until then, the law is slated to take effect 90 days after the legislative session and in between the primary and general election. Voting rights advocates have already spoken out against this regulation, saying it would prevent thousands of people from voting for president. The law also requires registering voters to provide proof of address and looks to hinder voting by mail as well.
Inflation is increasing both at the state and national levels. And according to the National Federation of Independent Business, 31% of small business owners reported inflation as the #1 problem their business is facing. Cronkite News reporter Madison Thomas found out what this means for Arizonans.
According to the NFIB, inflation has taken the top spot as small business owners' #1 concern, as it has just surpassed labor quality. However, the organization's director says the situation here in Arizona is looking brighter than most places. To the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in February, the Phoenix, Mesa, and Scottsdale areas saw an inflation rate increase of 10.9% from the last year. This was 3 points higher than the national rate of 7.9%. The most recent data from last month showed a national rate of 8.5%. The NFIB report also shows that there is a record low expectation for better business conditions to come. However, Chad Heinrich, NFIB's Arizona State Director, says that the report looks at things at a national level and not at individual states.
When we look at Arizona, we definitely have a bright side because we do have a pro-small business legislature and elected officials. And so we do see policies being adopted at the legislature that are helpful for small business and will actually help us get through this period of time in our economy.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Phoenix area saw the highest rate of inflation over the past year in comparison to other metropolitan areas. In Phoenix, Madison Thomas, Cronkite News.
It might be a little easier to become a teacher in Arizona if a certain measure passes through the legislature. Republican lawmakers are proposing changes to the teacher certification process that would allow more people to lead Arizona classrooms. This new proposal would allow people from the private sector to teach kindergarten through 5th grade. A formal House vote is still yet to take place, but the regulation has already passed the Senate and met some backlash during a House debate yesterday. Democrats say the bill would allow unqualified people to become teachers. This measure builds on a 2017 law that has allowed people in the private sector to teach grades 6 through 12 with a subject matter certificate. A vote that would double the size of the Coolidge generating plant was rejected earlier today. The Salt River project planned to expand the plant near one small community. Cronkite News reporter Faith Abercrombie heard from the people in Randolph and their concerns about toxic energy.
Environmental justice.
A cry for help.
Arizona Corporation Commission, vote no for the expansion.
To the Arizona Corporation Commission to reject SRP's latest proposal to install 16 gas turbines to create more electricity, but would impact the town of Randolph.
We all know that this is a health hazard. We are asking the commission to remember that first and foremost, we are human beings.
We want it now!
Residents from the Randolph community raised concerns at a press conference held before the ACC made their decision.
Many residents have been forced from their homes because of dangerous air pollution, leaving their homes for days to avoid vapors, odors, particulates, bright lights, and noise.
After a vote of 4-1, SRP will not add more gas turbines to the already existing 12 turbines at the plant.
The world needs to know that human rights violations have occurred and been occurring in Randolph for decades, unbeknown to the general public. This has affected us tremendously, or else we would not be here today.
In Phoenix, Faith Abercrombie, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Corporation Commission recommended that SRP comes up with another way to meet the demands of their customers that is less costly and without the effects to surrounding communities.
Yesterday, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors approved $17 million in funding for affordable housing projects. The funding comes through the American Rescue Plan and will be split between building new affordable units and converting a hotel into housing. According to a press release, construction on an existing hotel in Central Phoenix is expected to be completed by summer 2023, which will create 50 units. 2 other housing sites will have more than 450 units, with many of those completed by March 2024.
It's super breezy out there today, which is making for some cooler temps, but they won't stick around too long. Andrea Villalobos has the forecast.
Good evening, Arizona. If you've stepped outside, you have definitely felt those high winds that we're feeling right now. You can see that we're looking at about 20-mile-an-hour winds right now. As that evening goes on, those temperatures are going to drop all the way down to about 63 at about 10 p.m., but 8 o'clock is going to be around 67. Going to be a really great time to get out there this evening. Looking at our day tomorrow, you can see that we're going to be about 55 degrees at 8 a.m. on our commute to work, so make sure you do grab a sweater before you head out there. At around lunchtime, 11 a.m. will be about 67, jumping all the way up to 75 at 5 p.m. We will see similar conditions as to what we did today, minus that wind, of course, and 8 p.m. drops all the way down to 70 degrees. Do keep in mind, though, our air quality tomorrow will be in the 100 to 150 range, which is considered unhealthy for sensitive groups. So tomorrow will be a really great day to grab a friend, get in the carpool lane, get to work just a little bit faster. Looking at the map across the country, you can see a lot of red. We can see San Antonio's warming up at about 94 degrees, Raleigh at about 85, and Phoenix here tomorrow, we're looking at about 76 degrees. And for us, this is due in part to that low pressure system that's coming in, which is bringing our temperatures down. It's getting pretty breezy over here, but as that low pressure system moves out, coming into the weekend, our temperatures will actually increase, which is reflected here in our 8-day forecast. Looking at Friday, we're going to be at about 89 degrees, coming all the way up to 97 on Monday. But we do have some cloud coverage that day, so hopefully that will bring us some relief. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Andrea Villalobos.
I'm Marty Savlov. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We'll give you an inside look at a panel of former NFL players and coaches speaking about their experiences with the current state of race and hiring.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Marty Savlov, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. The Phoenix Mercury will welcome 2 new forwards to the team after last night's 2022 WNBA draft. Without picks in the first 2 rounds due to trades to acquire guards Kia Nurse and Diamond DeShields, the team made the best of the draft. They were left with 2 third-round picks, where they selected Notre Dame forward Maya Dodson with the 26th pick and IUPUI forward and center Macy Williams with the 32nd pick. These selections were due in part to the absence of Brittany Griner, who is still detained in Russia. According to ESPN reporter Holly Rowe, the Mercury intended to pay Griner her entire salary for 2022. The WNBA is also considering giving the franchise some relief regarding the salary gap due to Griner's absence. Griner was detained back in February after Russian authorities said a search of her luggage revealed vape cartridges that contained an oil derived from cannabis. Griner could face a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Last week, the ASU Cronkite School of Journalism hosted a panel of experts to discuss recent hiring practices in the NFL. The discussion comes on the heels of a discrimination lawsuit filed against the league by former Dolphins coach Brian Flores. Former Cardinals coach Steve Wilkes has also joined the suit. I attended the discussion where the panel agreed there needs to be a better process for creating more diversity among NFL coaches and executives.
People in position to make decisions doesn't always look like that, and there lies the problem. And until it becomes like what it looks on the field, with people making decisions in the offices, then it's very difficult to get change.
According to the Institute of Diversity and Ethics in Sports, 70% of NFL players are people of color, and currently only 5 of 32 NFL teams have minority head coaches. Former NFL coach Marvin Lewis says there needs to be more serious consideration of minority candidates for these jobs.
Give me feedback about why as one of the candidates, so that the next time around, if that is an issue, I can address the issue. So that's one of the things I know was discussed about better feedback that way to help these young men that are interviewing me.
Although the NFL adopted the Rooney Rule in 2003, which requires teams to interview at least one minority candidate, the rule has done little to diversify the coaching ranks and front offices.
People are interviewing you, but you're not going to get the job. Because the owner's going to call his other buddy and say, well, did he interview for you? Yeah, I wasn't. That wasn't very good. Well, we'll interview. Check the box. And so that became the unintended consequence of the Rooney Rule.
In late March, the league expanded on the Rooney Rule to include women as a minority in the hiring process for prominent positions. The Diamondbacks finished their 4-game series against the Padres last night with a 10-5 loss. They started off with a win on opening day, but went on to lose the last 3 games of the series. During Game 1 of the series, the D-backs won 4-2, despite a strong showing by Padres pitcher Yu Darvish. Their lone win was followed by back-to-back 3-run losses, including a 3-0 shutout. The series concluded with last night's loss, and they now look to bounce back against the Astros tonight at Chase Field as part of a 2-game series. Phoenix Suns head coach Monty Williams was voted Coach of the Year by the National Basketball Coaches Association for the 2nd year in a row. This comes after finishing with a league's best 64 wins, which also set the franchise record for most wins in a season. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Mitchell.
That's it for Cronkite News Tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.